Welcome to iPad Pros, the show all about using your iPad to be productive and get work done. I'm Tim Chen, host of the show. This WWDC special is brought to you by Agenda 14. Learn more at agenda.com.
I feel like I try to temper my emotions a little bit when I talk about this stuff, but honestly, when I plugged my iPad in to my 4K monitor yesterday, like after I installed iOS 16 or iPadOS 16, it blew me away.
Well, hello there, and welcome to a very exciting episode of iPad Pros. The day is finally here. We now have overlapping resizable windows on the iPad, with the feature known as Stage Manager, and true external display support. And with both screens for M1 iPad users, that means we can now have 8 unique app windows, plus a picture-in-picture window and a quick notes window. This update is just a transformative change to how I will be using the iPad, and editing this episode, I discovered just how incredibly handy having 2 apps take full width and half height is. Editing audio is largely a width-based thing, and you need very little vertical screen space, so I could be scrolling Twitter in the background while having full view of my timeline for editing. This is just one of the many things now possible because of this update with free floating windows. A setup I think will also be very popular for me is having the iPad screen in full screen iPad mode and using the external display in this new windowed mode to have the best of both worlds. It really is an exciting moment for the iPad, and I'm pleased to welcome back to the podcast Matt Birchler from A Better Computer to break all of this news down from the keynote and some of the smaller tidbits after the event. As a reminder, this episode is brought to you by Agenda. Learn more at agenda.com, and I'll be sharing more on Agenda a little bit later on in this episode. Head to the App Store now to download Agenda for free. With that, here's my discussion with Matt Birchler all about WWDC 2022. Enjoy. Welcome back to the podcast, Matt.
Hey, Tim. Good to be here.
It's an exciting day in iPad land especially.
Yeah, it's our Christmas in June
Yes.
that we get every year, and it was a big one this time.
It was a good one. Yeah, they closed the show with iPad, and that's always a fun thing.
Yeah, I was expecting it right after iOS. I think they normally do iOS, Watch, iPad, and Mac or something like that. But no, iPad got bumped, and for good reason, apparently.
It really did, and we saw a preview in the Mac section. Like, that's gotta be coming, right?
Yeah,
there's no reason to do that otherwise. As we'll talk about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was mostly off Twitter during the keynote, so I was just kind of watching it, and that was like the one bit where I kind of popped on for a second to see what people were saying, and like immediately everyone was like, "Oh, this is the iPad feature on the Mac." Obviously. And we were all right.
So, they started with iOS 16, and they also, I think they kind of had their bets that maybe they couldn't do any of this live, so they just said, we're going to do it all pre-recorded, is my theory as to why there was no live aspect at all, even though they had people there.
That's interesting.
They're like, oh, maybe this won't happen.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because, I mean, obviously the software looked good. I did notice, like, it's a real small detail, but I noticed when Craig was demoing the feature, the Stage Manager feature, like, when he was moving his mouse, there was, like, a little delay that, like, I wasn't quite expecting. Like, I was like, this was the best take. Like, I was a little surprised that they didn't go with one that was, like, absolutely pixel perfect. But yeah, I could actually see. I've been using it for about like 12 hours now, minus sleep, and I could see why they may not want to demo it quite yet. It's a little buggy in its current form, but
yeah. Now I will say
cool.
This is the first time we've done video for a podcast, and that's because I could do this now on the iPad. I got my Skype as full screen view there, and then I got an external monitor with my notes and Safari open. And it's a beautiful thing.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. This is a first.
Because normally the camera would crap out even if I did slide over on for notes. So now I can actually do a video chat while having my big monitor next to it with all the work stuff.
That's pretty. So you're doing this entirely from the iPad right now?
Yeah, I'm all on the iPad. And
Wow.
I'm not stupid. So I'm recording on a stable external Zoom H6. So the audio recording is independent if this connection just craps out for whatever reason. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm all on iPad right now.
That's I mean, the fact you can do it at all is great. Like that's yeah, like you said, we literally couldn't have done this before.
Yeah. And
On
I
video.
did some tests prior. So I tried so you can start the camera when you're in full screen mode, then move it to the stage manager thing. But as soon as you add a second app, the stage manager on the iPad screen, it just shuts down the camera. So hopefully they do fix that, and that becomes a thing you could do in the future. So
Okay.
that's really annoying.
Yeah. I mean, one of the points of like having multiple windows on screen is that they're all running at the same time,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
that's like if you put your app to the background and suddenly it's less capable, then that's not ideal. Like you can kind of like understand it when you like minimize it and it's like completely off
Yeah.
screen, but if it's like just tucked behind another window,
Yeah.
it becomes a little less acceptable, probably,
Yeah,
I'd say.
absolutely.
So
maybe it's
yeah.
bandit quirks and it's supposed to be there and working. We'll see. And then yesterday was fun. Like I had PS Remote Play full screen in one app, and then I had external monitor, so I can like be looking at Twitter as I'm playing. Like there's all sorts of like, it's the use case of a full screen app side by side with like the baby Mac experience is kind of like an interesting thing to be able to do now.
Yeah. I feel like I try to temper my emotions a little bit when I talk about this stuff, but honestly, when I plugged my iPad in to my 4K monitor yesterday, like after I installed iOS 16 or iPadOS 16, it blew me away. Like
Yeah.
this is something that I've been like hoping would be there for years, and like I've been in so many internet arguments with people about how it would never happen. It doesn't make sense because then it's just the Mac, but like it was so just incredible to like have like this full thing here and just like the dock at the bottom of the screen, and I could just click an icon with my mouse that's just paired just perfectly with it, and just I didn't even know what to do at first. Like I was like, this is so much freedom that I'm just not used to on the iPad, and like there weren't the big black bars on the side of the screen because it was just mirroring. Like this is the most exciting thing by far for me because it totally, I think, can transform the iPad for me. Like there's some apps that I still need on the Mac. Like I do all my video stuff in Final Cut Pro, but like if I can dock my iPad to a screen and use it like at my desk with my like nice webcam and chair and my like all that stuff, and it all just plugs in through a Thunderbolt hub and everything, like that's kind of awesome.
It is. And one thing I want to hear from people that have the Apple Studio display is it optimized in a way that it will actually use the camera and stuff of that display? Because that would be curious if that happens.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would like to think it would.
Yeah, or
You would think it
pick,
would.
like because you do have the iPad camera right in front of you as well. But yeah, which is better camera, as they
Which is a better camera,
showcased.
but worse angle. So you know,
Worse
it's
angle, yeah. I'm curious about that because I did try clamshell mode. I thought, hey, let me try this. Let me plug my iPad, clamshell with Magic Keyboard shut and using external trackpad and mouse, and it just doesn't work right now. So hopefully that could be a thing because clamshell is a fun thing to do if you just want to be using that. With just single monitor.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't. I only tried it with the iPad open. But yeah, clamshell mode should definitely be a thing for this. That should definitely happen.
And then I tried the Apple TV thing, and that currently is just mirroring like the old way. You can mirror your main display to the Apple TV while using extended display with a wired monitor. So that's kind of cool. I don't know what use case there would be for that, but you can do that.
Yep. Throw that on the technically possible pile,
Yeah, so I guess you're AirPlaying your main screen while working on the other one. I don't know. It's a thing that can happen. But that would be cool to see because Macs you can use an Apple TV 4K as a true extended display. So I hope that comes to iPad one day because that works pretty well in a pinch.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never done that myself, but I'm sure there's a niche where that's really useful.
Yeah, we had a situation where we didn't have a USB-C adapter for HDMI for the MacBook Air in the house, so it's like, let's try this. And it worked really well, actually. The other thing, it's cool to see the arrangement. You have to have this, of course, in the settings area of the iPad. You now have arrange your displays. You can have it above you, below you, left or right. That's all really nice. There's no way to change the orientation of the extended monitor, so that'd be cool if you could have that be portrait. Right now it's just
yeah, that's probably another year or two away.
Right. There are settings per the monitor. More space or less space is showing up on some monitors, like refresh rate. So it's doing some stuff with like monitor settings.
Okay. Yeah, I think on mine, I've got an LG Ultrafine, not the one that
the 4K.
Apple sold, a different one, a 4K one.
Yeah.
But for me, I think everything was a little smaller than I was expecting, but it was still good. I think I'm used to iPad interfaces kind of being like finger sized, and it seemed more mouse sized. But like I have a 27-inch 4K display, and for me, everything was scaled nicely. I didn't even look into any settings because it just kind of defaulted to pretty good ones for me.
You don't have that hooked up now, do you?
I don't. No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what kind of settings the LG 4K gives you. Because I also have a Dell, like a crappy, like, I don't know, a couple $100 monitor. And then I also have a 15-inch portable USB-C monitor, which works really well with the iPad. It's just sitting on a table. You can just bring that with you to the coffee shop. You got your whole little setup there.
Nice.
And that had a couple different settings as well. That's a touchscreen, and I'd love to see that enabled at some point, because that'd be neat.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening anytime soon, though.
Not until Apple makes a touch one, but that's probably not for a long time.
Yeah. And then the audio would spit out of the external display speaker, which I would prefer that not to happen because the iPad has the better speakers. So that's another thing I'd like to see kind of tweaked.
Yeah. I guess you can kind of see why this is not as simple as just make it work on an external display.
Yeah. And then, the other thing I noticed so my orientation down at the desk down here is my iPad's to my right, upstairs is backwards. And the thing I ran it up against is when you have the Stage Manager active, if you're trying to drag a window from your iPad to the external, you have the Stage Manager little windows up there between the drag points. So when you're trying to drag a window, it would just throw it back in Stage Manager. I couldn't get it to the display because it was trying to just throw it in the Stage Manager kind of background.
Interesting.
Because that does work if you're dragging to the right and the monitor's to your right. But if Stage Manager was there, it was kind of blocking it.
Okay.
So there's some things to work out. Yeah,
I definitely think this is one of those features that will look different when it ships like officially in the fall. Like sure. I think the functionality is pretty much locked in, and I think they got that pretty well. But there's something just a little weird about it. Like it's a little much in some ways. like the extreme angle that the like other windows over there on the left side are at is kind of funky. Like you said, the behavior you're seeing, it kind of like makes it impossible to do that task. There's actually, I don't know if you saw in Control Center, like where you enable Stage Manager, if you hold down on the option, you can disable those windows on the left, which I actually did, and it makes it feel a little better to me. You could also disable the dock entirely.
Which is interesting.
It is interesting. So I assume...
Yeah, you get more space. I guess if you have your setup and you're good with that setup for that moment, you can turn it off.
Yeah, because like if you have the iPad plugged in, you have two docks, right? You have a dock on both display. So like whatever dock you click on, it launches the window there. So like if you don't have the dock on the main screen, you only have it on the iPad, then you have to drag everything. I don't know why you do that, but I guess you can. Yeah. So there are some settings. But I think it's not totally locked in yet. Like it's not nearly as like dire as Safari was last year, where we were all like, we all need to make a lot of noise because this needs to change. But like, I definitely think that like of all the things we saw in the keynote, this was the one thing that was most exciting, but also definitely I think needs a little tweaking before.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to get some feedback and do some tweaks. And like, it'd be nice to change where the dock is on the Mac. You have left, right, or bottom. That would be cool to see change as well. And
Yeah.
the app library seems very useful now in the dock, being able to just like open that to drag an app into it. And then, the confusing thing with the dock sometimes you want a second instance of the same app, and you think you're doing one thing, and then you just move. You swap your screen sometimes. It's like, oh, I hit the button accidentally. All my apps are over here now because it moves with the whole instance of that stage manager over there. So there's a lot of like learning to do with this.
Yeah. I think another one of the issues I've run into is like the targets for like resizing and moving windows is a little off.
Yeah.
Like it's really easy to grab like the side of a window to like resize it.
Yep.
But like trying to move windows, as far as I can tell, you have to grab like those 3 little dots at the top middle.
No, you can grab other places. Yeah, I mean, I'm grabbing the top area. And
Okay.
One thing I really like is if you have like 2 windows on a screen, it'll like move them together almost in a nice way. That sounds terrible to some people, but like it's actually pretty nice how it kind of like. You have 2 like small like narrow windows and it kind of groups them together to drag them, together.
Interesting. Yeah, I know. I watched a bit of the platform State of the Union, and they mentioned something about the system like trying to be a little intelligent when you resize one window. Like if you have 2 windows on screen and you resize one to be half the screen, they're going to assume you want the other one half the screen, and might do that for you.
Yeah, so it's really smart, and sometimes it's nice, and sometimes it's not so nice. So it's just like figuring out the quirks of it a little bit.
Yeah. I think the difference might be the reason why you were able to drag from anywhere is I was using a lot of third-party apps, and I think that like maybe you need to use the new toolbar or something like that pro style toolbar. Like I was trying to, Reader was the app I was trying to move and was like just having a horrible time moving it around the screen. But it doesn't have like that top menu bar section.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I'm doing it now with Agenda. I'm not dragging the triple dots. I'm just dragging it towards the top, like in the top area is what I was doing.
Well, maybe it's touch and go, but
yeah, it's going to be a learning process, I think.
Yeah. So, are you using Stage Manager on your iPad like normally, or are you just kind of using it as a desktop feature?
Right now, I'm using it.
I know we're 24 hours in, but
but I think long term, I will probably have the traditional split screen usage on iPad, and then the big display gets center stage or stage manager. We got a lot of stage names. I think
there's so many. Yeah.
But I think that'll be a thing I do, and maybe I'll use. I think it'll depend on what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah. And I have the 11-inch iPad, and like I said, when I plugged it into a monitor and like turned on Stage Manager and like was moving windows around, it was amazing. It was incredible. When I did it on the iPad itself, on my 11-inch, it felt a little cramped, a little.
Did you turn on the more resolution mode thing?
No, this is the thing that I just saw before I got on. So I need to do this. I couldn't find it really quickly. I don't know where it is in the settings app.
It's in the display area. So if you go to
in the display
settings, that's where you can turn on. If you're on the 12.9 M1, it has the reference mode thing.
Okay, I'm gonna tweak that because it was more space. There we go. And it reboots the iPad.
Yeah,
okay.
I turned that on right away, and it seems very nice as an option, especially when you're in split screen to view more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is great. I'm going to use this. Hopefully, this will help because everything felt like really cramped. So I can't imagine what it's like on like the smaller ones, like the 9.7 inch and the iPad Mini, which I assume has, or no, it doesn't because this is M1 only. So I guess. 11 inches is the minimum size.
The Mini not getting this because that'd be great. I mean, just for the external display stuff, you know.
Yes,
that's true. I mean, tiny iPad under the big display. Yeah.
Right. I mean, can you imagine that tiny little thing that you just like have in your front pocket? Like, will fit in like a lot of jean pockets, and you just like
socket wherever you go.
It's the new Mac Mini.
Yeah, new Mac Mini. And then the reference color thing's really intriguing. I played around with it. And I think I'll use this at night because it kind of locks the brightness in. So if you want like all the nits, you kind of have to turn it off, which makes sense because
Yeah, that makes as a reference thing. I think I'm really hoping. I know this is kind of like one of those features that's like, oh, the iPad is an accessory to your like video workflow or your photo workflow. But I really, maybe it's naive, but I keep holding out hope that Apple's working on some pro apps that they're bringing to the iPad.
Yeah, they have
and
some
like
new frameworks they can build with.
There's a lot of frameworks. There's like new contextual menus that can do more. There's like they specifically called out pro level apps or like what desktop class apps. Yep. I was like, oh boy, here comes Final Cut. And it wasn't that, but it was still good. But like it feels like they've got the foundations there for, as far as I know, all of their pro apps. I feel like we're getting to a point where
and there's even this DriverKit thing, so I don't know what will come of that, because that just sounds awesome. I want Elgato to make a driver so I can hook up like a PS5 to an iPad and do some live streaming and be one of those guys, you know?
Yep. The Stream Deck doesn't work with it right now, but it theoretically could.
Yeah, I could get our old home videos from VHS, capture those, and archive them on the iPad. Hopefully that stuff happens, because there's a lot of potential. I mean, I mentioned on the Twitters ripping CDs. I have CDs. I still need iTunes Match. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm a little. I think you're getting into. Does Apple feel this ought to exist and App Store rules, and that's a whole other conversation.
It's funny because Apple themselves in iTunes have that functionality. It's not
it is a little interesting. Like, would Apple allow iTunes on the App Store?
And there's no like iTunes Match on iPad, so this still wouldn't really solve my problem entirely.
It's so frustrating.
But
I didn't check that, but that was one of the things that I've been waiting for years. Like, if I have MP3s in the Files app on my iPad, can I drag them into the Music app? And I think the answer is still no.
I think it's still no. I think we would have heard about that by now.
Yeah, which is a shame, but
it is. And then up to 6K monitors. So the Pro Display XDR, we can now use that, which we could before, but it'll work, and that's a lot of monitor.
That's a ton of monitor.
Yeah. And I guess 4 windows on each display, so 8 windows in total. So that's a big step forward, especially if you're hooked up to something.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I assume it's a RAM limit because, the current iPads only have 8 gigs of RAM. Although they're doing, or up to 16. You're right. The 1 terabyte model. So I have a 16 gigabytes of RAM, and then also you get 16 gigabytes of swap RAM, which is new. So up to 32 on mine, which we'll see what happens with that. I feel like, I mean, that's plenty of RAM to run 8 iPad apps, you would think. But it would be kind of cool if in that clamshell mode, all 8 of those windows could live on your monitor at once. If 8 is like the hard limit.
And then other thing, I don't know. It's there's a lot of. One thing I just want to mention is the multitasking little triple dot thing. As we thought might happen, there is a new button that moves a window from one monitor to the other, which is a very useful little button.
Ooh.
So rather than trying to drag a window across monitors, which can be a bit of a pain, I would encourage people to increase the tracking speed quite a bit to make that easier. But that button is really useful for that. And then there's also a currently inactive button, which lets you create a new window of that same app. And if I click that, it currently says not available yet. For now, please use drag and drop to add more windows.
Really?
So the triple dot, if you hit the plus, basically the plus window, the second one, it'll have a little error message there for that.
Oh, interesting. It actually works for me in Safari. I'm trying it right now.
Oh, interesting.
Rude.
Oh, yeah. And then there's a minus thing, which doesn't actually close the window. It just minimizes it to the stage manager, which is interesting.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I think it's really exciting to just have all these new things to look at. We kind of had this last year with the multitasking revamp, but like this is a whole new ballgame.
It's kind of game changing as far as what you can do on iPad now.
I mean, I think the biggest testament to it is that we've been able to talk this long without even mentioning that they brought a weather app to the iPad.
I know. Isn't that wild? And it's a great weather app.
It's good. It's basically exactly what you'd expect it to be. Like, it takes full advantage. My one concern, I think, was that it wouldn't take advantage of like the wider screen, but it totally does. Like, you can see everything all at once.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's really solid.
And then with the weather app, that also comes to the Mac for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mac is also getting a new app, the Clock app.
Yes.
Big news for Mac people. You get the Clock.
You can set timers on the you can set timer on the Mac now. But that's progress.
That's progress, yeah.
It's very weird that I wish they had brought the WatchOS timer app to the Mac rather than like why does the Apple Watch have the best timer app of all the Apple operating systems?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. GameCenter got some love. I didn't even know this thing still existed, quite honestly.
Yeah. Like the feed that they announced, I was like, okay, the people that I followed in 2010, I guess we'll start seeing.
Right?
I haven't actively used GameCenter in a decade,
it's cool
probably.
that Resident Evil Village and No Man's Sky seemingly are coming to iPad and Mac, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, Resident Evil Village on the iPad would be very impressive. I think it's always kind of funny to see Apple demo premium, like AAA style video games, because they always look so bad. Like the frame rate is like a
little bit of E3 at WWDC this year with the Japanese team.
Yeah,
studio head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I think Resident Evil Village looked pretty decent. No Man's Sky, they're like, look at how well it's running, and it's running at like 15 frames a second. I'm like, that's not that good.
Yeah. And Switch Pro Controller and Joy-Cons now work on iPadOS and iOS, so that's cool.
That's great. They've completed the trifecta, so Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch controllers all work. I gotta say,
Joy-Cons seem like a solid travel option for gaming with iPad, right?
Yeah, like I always feel kind of awkward, like because I use a PS5 controller paired to my iPad, and it's just like the controller's nearly as big as the iPad. Like it's a weird thing, but like the Joy-Con, if it works, like which I should try to pair those up, but like it definitely feels more iPad-y.
Yeah,
I think.
And it's fun because with PS Remote Play, I use the DualSense as one should, but theoretically you could use the Joy-Cons if you're using the controller through iPad to do that.
Yeah,
it would be interesting.
This is a weird world. Like it's like you're playing like Forza Horizon on Xbox Game Pass with a PlayStation controller on your iPad. Like younger me doesn't understand these worlds colliding.
No, it's bizarre. And then we're getting like you're able to start timers and stuff in search, which is cool, I guess. I don't know. Search has been revamped across the board. I don't fully understand what they're doing to it quite yet.
Yeah, I mean it's just continuing their venture into making their own search. Like they're trying to make you not go to Google, it seems. Like just make Spotlight more capable. Yeah. They showed some stuff with like the I forget what they called them, but like the just more elaborate layouts when you search for something. Like an actor will show more information about them. So saved you a click, I guess.
And then they're trying to get rid of Google Docs with their collaboration as an API. So like Ulysses could build out a collaboration thing, which is something I think they've looked into in the past, but now they have an API to make that a simple thing to do. So it could be pretty interesting as a thing. You have a bunch of different apps and you're all collaborating in single thread. They're building this app called Freeform coming later this year, which is kind of like a Good Notes kind of thing, a notability looking app.
It gave me a lot of vibes of FigJam.
Yeah.
I know you talked to someone from Figma recently as well.
Yeah.
At my company, we use FigJam for exactly what they were showing on there, and I was like, "Wow, this is not the sort of app I would have expected Apple to make."
Right.
And I'm curious, like part of the reason why we use FigJam is because we're also deeply integrated into Figma, so that's just a natural place for us to work. But it looks nice, and like at the bare minimum, if it inspires like other companies who are doing similar things to make their stuff better, I think that's great. But it looked really nice. I was pleasantly surprised with like how seamless everything looked. But that's coming, I think, later this year, or even next year.
It'll be the Swift playgrounds of 2022.
Okay.
It comes in December, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a thing that'll get pushed to 2023, but we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. It seems like a simple app. I say that now. I'm joking. I don't make apps.
The developers at Apple are just pulling their hair out. And you're like, it's a simple thing. It's just simple collaboration, whatever.
Is there any other iPad-specific things? I'm trying to think, because everything else is pretty cross-platform, even the...
Yeah, I think those are all the iPad things I had specifically. Like, there's a lot of things that are on like iPhone and iPad that I thought were interesting.
I guess iOS in general. And we'll start with an iPhone-only thing for now, which is... you have your custom watch faces for the phone.
You do. I mean, you kind of do.
Yeah. So the lock screen is now, it feels very much like watch faces where you can have custom wallpapers. Apple has some really neat ones with weather where it's like a live wallpaper based on the weather that's happening. And you have these little complication, little widget things that are either one or two size classes, or three size classes. You have like a pure text one up top, and then you have the little button and the wider one with text as well. So
yeah. So you've got like a little spot up next to the date you can put something, which is just the text one, and then you have 4 squares below the time. And so there's ones that are 1 square and ones that are 2 squares wide. So you can put up to 4 there. There's only Apple stuff right now. My understanding is it's using WidgetKit. And complications on watchOS 9 going forward are using WidgetKit as well. So the implication to me is that you won't automatically get the complications that exist today on your Apple Watch, but if your developer updates their app to use to be built for watchOS 9 and use WidgetKit, then they'll show up in both places. You'll get them on the phone and on the watch.
Cool. Yeah, it seems very smart of Apple to build on what they did with the watch with these kind of things. No interactive widgets, sadly. We have some. I thought we'd had it a little bit because I saw initially the Uber thing, and he's like it looked like he was changing the time or something, but it wasn't. It was just live updating where the Uber is. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shame, but I did really like that those persistent, like they're not notifications, widgets sort of thing, like on the lock screen. Right,
the live activity. So I think like Overcast could actually have a real time, probably. Representation of the podcast going on, maybe. I don't know if that's something that would tie in.
Yeah, like they could, because they do have the Now Playing thing, but maybe they could do like custom artwork, or they could basically present a custom UI, which could be kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of things, right? Like flight tracking would be great in this sort of thing, rather than getting notifications every 10 minutes for every little thing.
Yeah.
The Uber example was great. My conspiracy theory, because I think this is coming, they said after the launch. Yeah. I don't think this is going to be there on 16.0. They showed Nike, like the Nike Run Club app, like tracking your workout on the phone. And this is something I've wanted for years. I'd never understood why I couldn't see my, like, if I'm using the workout app, if I'm using Apple's app, why can't I see the status of that workout on my lock screen?
Yeah.
And so they showed Nike doing it. Like, Apple has got to do it for the workouts app. So I really hope that they're going to make that happen in a point release.
Right. And then you can tie these to focus modes, which I have not done yet. I still need to figure out what my lock screen should. I think it'll make more sense, I think, once we have more widgets than the Apple ones to do that focus mode tie-in. But I guess the wallpaper on the lock screen, you could have more or less appropriate things based on what focus you're in.
Yeah, and you can, the focus mode, so now if you go in to set up a focus mode, you set your custom home screen, your custom lock screen, and your custom watch face. So the watch kind of gets bundled into focus modes now too.
You're telling me I don't have to set up a personal automation to do this anymore?
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. That is
yes, indeed.
great.
It's all inside the focus mode settings. You just tap on the watch, select your watch face, and it'll set that whenever that focus mode is active. So
I got some clearing out to do.
Yep.
A lot of those set up. Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So focus mode definitely got kind of Not a 2.0 update necessarily, but it got a really strong update, I think.
And you don't have to do
year.
the thing I did last year of going through literally every contact in my phone to make focus modes work.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Or that you can do allow lists or block lists. So you can basically opt things into notifying you or out of notifying you. Whereas last year was only you have to opt everything in, which was
very
a super pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, especially because the thing that I always wanted to do last year, which I can do this year now, which is awesome, is I can set up a personal focus mode, which all I wanted to do is to block all my work apps from notifying me outside of work hours. So turn off my calendar, turn off Slack, turn off my the Gmail app, but leave everything else on. And don't make me update the list when I add a new app or whatever. So I'm super excited about that. I'm basically going to tear down all my focus modes and rebuild them with this new system.
Mail and calendars and messages integrate to filter out content when in certain focus modes, which that's really cool. So that third parties can take advantage of this.
I know. Yeah, I hope that more apps integrate into the focus system, because I know last year they added an API for apps to allow certain people through based on your focus mode. But I haven't, personally at least, I haven't seen any apps actually use that.
Right.
So
it'd be great if OmniFocus could, when you're in focus mode for work, only your work perspectives show up or something like that,
I could see the Omni guys doing that. That sounds like a thing they would.
Yeah. And I was expecting
I would love
it,
that.
But they're still hard at work at the new version, so they're probably still working on that. And then once that ships, they'll eventually add that to it.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. OmniFocus 4 is a journey. Has been a journey. So
it has. Yes, I've been on the betas,
it's definitely improved, but
they need to nail it. So they're spending their time on it.
Yes, which is good.
Yes. Do you see them doing more theming next year? We have these almost themes of these lock screens. It's like a gray tone, and I don't know if we'll get app icon sets ever that will be a thing, because we have wallpaper sets that developers can developers integrate into that yet? I don't even know.
I don't know. I'm actually a little confused by the wallpapers, how it works now. Because if you go to the settings app and you say add a new wallpaper, it takes you to the lock screen settings. So all the wallpaper configuration seems to happen on the lock screen. And the thing that is annoying to me that I hope is just a bug is you can't rearrange or pinch to zoom on a wallpaper to move it around.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully that's just a bug, but. It is a little different than it used to be. But the wallpaper, not the wallpaper, the lock screen settings that you can set, the colors that you can change for the text and everything. It seems like they've got a pretty good UI here for more than just the lock screen.
Right.
You could do more.
I'm also a bit annoyed that when you change the lock screen, it changes your home screen wallpaper at the same time. It's I don't want that. So you have to go in afterwards and go in the settings app and change the home screen, lock screen stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I am someone who in the 16 years of iOS has never once had a separate lock screen and home screen wallpaper. So I didn't even notice.
Yeah. This episode of iPad Pros is sponsored by Agenda. In this quick break, I want to share a little bit about Agenda. Agenda is my go-to note-taking app. It is a different approach that makes it stand out from the other apps out there. It actually considers your calendar and appointments in smart ways that keep you on track with upcoming events that require a bit of work to be done before the time comes. In the past, I've tried to use task managers to get ready for a meeting and have my notes there, and it just didn't work for me. There's this concept of on the agenda. And the on the agenda notes are the notes that you're working on actively to get ready for that meeting. And it'll bring together all of the notes that are on your agenda from all of your different projects to make sure you're not forgetting anything. And if you want to take that note off the agenda, you just tap on that little button there and you can take it off the agenda. If it's something that can be marked done and it has a completion state to it, you can add a little mark done and a little check mark to it that this is done. It's not on the agenda. It's not even something that's kind of backlogged. It's something you have finished. So if you've ever tried using a task manager to take notes and were frustrated by that experience, give Agenda a try. It's the note-taking app that actually helps you stay on track with work and personal projects to get them done on time. And today I'm pleased to share that the app performs phenomenally in iPadOS 16 Beta 1. That's something I was very curious about when updating, and the app feels right at home in the new Stage Manager, with it fully supporting all the different window sizes now possible on the iPad. And with the new More Space setting in the Settings app that lets your iPad screen display more content, that sidebar in Agenda shows so much more content and just makes me so happy seeing all that stuff without needing to scroll through it to see it. It is also a wonderful thing to see Agenda on a huge Mac-like window when working on those larger displays now possible on iPad. It's just such a flexible app and really showcases why the iPad is great. It's apps like these that take advantage of the Apple Pencil, now with external display support, different size classes, the camera. It really does take full advantage of this platform, and it really is showcased with its out-of-the-box support of iPadOS 16. So give it a shot if you are running the betas. It really is a fun thing. It really does sing in iPadOS 16, whether you're working on the iPad in the traditional mode or in the new overlapping Windows mode. It is an app that takes full advantage of this platform, and that's just one of the things I love most about it. Finally, their business model is just great. When you upgrade to get the Agenda Premium features, you aren't signing up for a yearly subscription plan. You get to keep every premium feature that is released in the next 12 months, and only if Agenda delivers new premium features you think are worth paying for do you ever have to pay again. The developers are constantly working on making you happy as a premium customer during your business again and again. If you do decide that you want a simple subscription so you don't need to remember to sign up for premium next year, there's also now that option that gives you a discount over the standard premium price. And just like buying premium, you get to keep all of the features of premium even if you cancel the subscription. To learn more, go to agenda.com. Download Agenda today for free from the App Store. My thanks again to Agenda for sponsoring this episode of iPad Pros. Learn more at www.agenda.com. A shared family photo library is finally a thing.
Yes.
This is not in the betas yet. I think they're going to wait until this rolls out, which makes sense because you don't want to mess with photos.
You don't want to mess with photos. Yep. Yep. Yeah, no, I mean, it's great. It'll be lovely to have, like, we have the shared iCloud photos now, but I think those aren't full quality and you don't have edit permissions and that sort of thing.
It's like everything we're going to run out of, so many albums.
Yeah, and like they're doing some smart stuff with like automatically sharing with people who are like physically near you while you're at an event. Like, I'm really curious to see how this works in practice. I'm sure there'll be weird situations, but...
Right, because they need to nail this. You can't have photos that you don't want in the shared thing end up there. That's the thing they need to nail. And I think they're doing all the things they need to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that since it's taken so many years for them to make this happen, that's what they've been doing is figuring out these edge cases. But we'll see. Like you said, it's not in the beta yet, so we'll see.
Still have a bunch of shared albums because this is purely your family unit. So people,
this is like your direct your immediate family.
So people like that are like close to you but not in your family unit, like brother-in-laws and stuff, like people that that you take a lot of photos with that have shared albums that won't be a thing in this.
Yeah, so I wonder if they'll like have some stuff that you will like automatically recommend, like you were next to your uncle while you were taking this photo. Do you want to share these with them, like in the Photos app? But yeah, I mean, shared albums are definitely better for that sort of thing right now. Yep. Or you could just like iMessage them to someone and then you could just download the whole stack, right? Like, so there's at least workarounds, but I'm definitely excited about it. I'm going to turn it on as soon as it's available.
Yeah.
Because it'll just be nice.
Yeah, because we're constantly like texting photos back and forth and
literally I did it like Sunday this week. I was like, I haven't sent you any pictures of our dog recently. Let me send you like all the good ones recently.
and it's nice when you're capturing, it'll tell you where it's going, so that's really neat. So yeah, there's a lot of cool, well thought out things here. And then there's more family stuff, like on the watch side, you can now have podcasts as a kid and the home app as a kid, which is great. So your kid can actually unlock the door when they get home. Imagine that. I guess there's keys as well for the kids.
Okay.
Yeah, the podcast submission last year was bizarre. Like the kid can't listen to any podcasts.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. I guess. I mean, they have like podcast ratings. You would have thought that you would just have like you can't listen to any that are 17 plus or whatever.
Right.
But not having the app at all is weird. This is one of those things where like whenever they get into the family sharing stuff, I just kind of like zone out.
Yeah.
Just because it's not super relevant for me. But yeah.
Yeah, I do some of it, not a ton, but we have like shared movie whatever collection or something like that. But yeah, not a ton yet. So iMessages had some finally moments, a lot of finally moments in this keynote. You can edit and delete iMessages.
Great.
As long as everyone's on 15 or later, or 16 or later, because I tested this, as one does.
Sure.
It'll delete it, but only if you're on iOS 16. So,
okay.
My devices that weren't updated yet, it still sticks around. So
basically what it used to be where like you would delete the message, but it's still out there.
Yeah. But, long term, this will not be a problem. This will just be a thing. And it's great.
For sure.
It's like there's a lot of times where you just accidentally send something or it goes the wrong person. Boom.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You forget if it's like Control Enter or Command Enter to do a new line. Like, it happens.
It happens, so that's great.
Yeah. I think the big thing, I didn't mention it on the keynote because they would never mention green bubbles in the keynote. But if you do a tap back now, it actually does it correctly. It doesn't show like Tim liked this message or whatever. It like actually just puts the icon there, which is great because that's what Google did in their Messages app to like make it not miserable for people. So like we were in like this weird state where like if you were in a thread with iMessage or like iOS and Android people, like you would like do the tap back on a green bubble, and for all the iOS users, it would look terrible. It would be like a separate message that says you liked this or you thumbs down this or whatever, but the Android person would see it in a nice little icon. Yeah. So now, in a very odd twist, Apple's caught up to Android in handling its own tap back.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. Yeah, I've had some bad experiences with those Android people. The tap backs.
Yeah. I know I have a few people who always do them, even if there's Android people on the thread, and so this will be very appreciated.
Yeah,
by everyone.
And then we're getting mail with better search, which I always get yelled at because I can't find emails, and now hopefully I'll find emails. So that'll be good.
Hopefully,
because email on Apple Mail has been terrible forever. It's just been ridiculous.
That's accurate.
You can't find. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they got like, I mean, my notes for Apple Mail were Apple getting 2013 email features today.
Yeah, we can undo send and schedule send and have follow-ups.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what the rich link thing is, but those are.
I think it's just you can make text a link. You don't have to do the full URL.
Okay. That's
like
cool.
I don't use the Mail app myself, but like that's what a rich link is. Like, were you not able to like select some text and say add a link or Command K it to?
I forget if you could. I use Apple Mail for personal stuff and Spark for other stuff, so I do use both. Yeah, this all sounds really great, and the follow up stuff is gonna be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, snoozing it'll like poke you if you like say if it thinks you're missing an attachment, which is cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, just I mean, these aren't like wildly innovative, but it's good to see them in the official app.
Working on stuff. Passkeys, I think, are going to be a big thing long term. This sounds great. So websites can generate a thing that authorizes you based on your device being around, and you can like if you're at a stranger computer, you can just scan a QR code or something to get in.
Mm-hmm. I'm definitely mixed on this.
Okay. Yeah, because this is cross-platform too. Like Google has their own version of this. Is that right?
Yeah. So the passkey is based on a spec that'll be available to everyone, every platform. Yeah. So they're all bought in on it. So that's good.
Yeah.
But the two things that concern me about it are it really locks you in to Apple's platforms, which is Fine for
I
Apple.
couldn't switch to Android and have an Android version of passkey come with me.
You can currently export one passkey at a time.
Okay.
And that's not an Apple thing. That's like the standard.
spec.
The standard doesn't have a bulk export.
Yeah.
So you can export one at a time over to.
Okay.
But like my one password has like hundreds of logins. So this is not a very practical endeavor. Yeah. And then I'm a little concerned about sharing logins because I know this is like
yeah, we do that
again.
all the time.
Yeah,
businesses do this.
Businesses do it, like couples do it, like
do it, yeah.
families do it, exactly. Yeah, so like
I guess next year we'll have family passwords for passkeys or something.
Maybe.
Right.
So maybe they'll kind of make this better, but yeah, like I mean, Netflix probably loves this. Share your Netflix password, not your passkey.
Yep, all the streaming apps. Oh, something I wanted to mention about it brought to mind because HBO Max and I think Netflix are just as bad at this with the iPad apps being full screen and only full screen.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Stage Manager, you can have those apps in Stage Manager and you can't resize them, but at the same time you can still use other windows behind them and stuff, and it's a little less kludgy than a pure full screen app. So it's slightly better.
Yeah, I noticed that on when I had it hooked up to my monitor, I opened like the settings app, which the settings app for I don't know why, but the settings app has never resized. So it's still just its normal size, but at least you can kind of move it around and do other things now.
Nice. So I just want to mention that, which is hopefully those apps eventually get on board.
Hopefully,
yeah. Passkeys, interesting thing, and hopefully it gets better over time. It'll be a while before it gets full adoption, I think, too.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things where it's like we're seeing it in 2022, but it'll be a thing we actually like are practically using in like 2 years or something. Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah,
you got to start somewhere. But obviously passwords aren't great. No. But yeah, I definitely think there's trade-offs either way. So
there are,
hopefully we can get to a better place in a couple years with this.
Yeah, I get yelled at all the time for my 50-character passwords and stuff like that. It's like, why are they so long? And then lift subject from background is a thing that may save me a lot of time for some work I do, with art assets and stuff. That seems great. It's probably not as perfect as manually going through some of the stuff, but in my testing, it seemed to work pretty well.
Yeah, it works fantastic. I've only tried it with dog pictures, but for dogs, it works great.
Yeah, one hiccup I ran up against is I do most of my photos as live photos, and it seems to mostly just play back the live photo. I haven't mastered. I guess there is a way to copy that out, but it's going to be tricky, I think, to figure out how to do that.
Interesting.
It just plays back the live photo when I'm in the Photos app trying to get the.
Yeah, because that's always been the gesture for it, right? Is to
So yeah, that'll be I think there's a way to do it, but I just need to figure out how to do it.
Similar in the Photos thing. The portrait mode on iPhones has gotten a tweak. Okay. You can now blur out things in front of the subject. It used to be only the background was blurred,
right?
But now you can blur out something in front. So if you want to have like something kind of like slightly obscuring to be a little, artistic, you can do that.
Let's play around that. That's cool. And then live text is now in videos, which is cool. Mm-hmm. And there's actions like currency conversions and stuff. And live text was such a just brilliant thing they did last year. I use it quite a bit still. Yeah,
for sure. Live text is one of the standout features in iOS 15.
Yeah,
I use it like literally all the time. Like it's always useful.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Like just all sorts of just weird things. Like I'm getting password at the back of some router or something and grab it there. Mm-hmm. And you can also now copy Wi-Fi passwords in the settings app, which is great. So if you forget your Wi-Fi password, you can find it finally.
Thank God.
Because there's a lot of times I have no idea what the password is. Like, oh, there it is. Good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Dictation looks awesome, and I've been playing around with it. It's pretty great. So you have the keyboard up while you're dictating and be selecting the text if you want to replace it, and you don't need dictation anymore. It's really great stuff.
Yeah, it's much better. It's not a modal kind of state you go into. It seems like super fast, as it should. I think they updated it like a year or two ago to make like the dictation way faster, and it's really good. Right up there with what I think Google's doing with Google Assistant, which is fantastic because that's still best in class.
Yeah.
And just being able to switch back and forth and change things. I like that this also demoted the voice memo down to the applications section of messages. So it's not over there on the right. The dictation button's over on the right now, which is just great because again, my personal preference, but I've never ever send audio messages, but I dictate all the time. So,
and I'm excited for the punctuation, me not needing to say period, exclamation mark.
Oh, I missed that was a thing. But that
new line, it'll just figure that stuff out for you. And hopefully it does it in a smart way. We'll see.
Hopefully.
I'm super excited about multiple stops and maps. This is something I've wanted for a long, long time. Prior to this, you could just there was like a predefined list of gas stations or restaurants that you could do this with, but now it's like literally anything, and you can build it out to 15 stops.
Yeah, this is the thing of I talked to a few like non-tech nerd people about this, and about WWDC, and this was like the feature that came up the most from other people is being able to do multi-stop routes in maps.
Yeah. The one for next year, Apple, if you're listening, have a option to organize these stops in the fastest way possible. I've got these 6 errands to do. Tell me what's the fastest route.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's kind of built for a road trip. Here's my plan. Yeah,
that'd be cool. Yeah,
that would be very cool.
Integrate with reminders. Even you have these different errands you have to do that have locations tied to, and it's let's knock these out.
Yeah, I wonder if a third-party app could do this. It would be great to have it built in, but I wonder if a third-party app could kind of do that.
There are apps for this that are designed for parcel delivery people that cost a subscription. They're all kind of kludgy and very not great. They get the job done, but they're not awesome.
Okay. Because, if it could, figure out the route for, the order for you, and then, open in Maps, and then Maps has, the things listed out, and you could use that navigation and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be interesting.
Might as well talk about this now with Carplay. Man, I can't wait for a car in 2024 that has this, because I guess the list of vehicles will be announced in late 2023 is what the website says. So it's a ways out.
Yeah.
Basically, Apple's taking over every screen in the car, including the dashboard, and we get the Apple Car finally.
Yeah, I was a little surprised they announced something that was a year and a half from being announced.
Right.
Which is a little crazy. So, 2024 cars. And by 2024 cars, we probably mean BMWs and Mercedes and that sort of thing. It had a pretty
extensive list. I think I saw Honda and stuff in the list. So it seemed to be a good list. But probably the first car that rolls out is a BMW that's for the 1%,
Sure.
Yeah. But it looks great. It looks
great.
Yeah, you're able to customize your dashboard how you if you like digital, if you like the knobs, you get a ticket. It seems wonderful.
Yeah, honestly, they put up a stat that was 70% of people say they would only consider a car that had CarPlay.
Yeah.
And I'm in that group for sure.
I am too.
I would. Yeah. My car does not have CarPlay; it's too old. But my wife's car does, and it's fantastic. And honestly, if I could just get what we have today, and then the ability to control some of the car functions from it, that would be great. I don't need the full dashboard replacement, but.
How great will it be with CarPlay? Perhaps when you get an error message in your car, your iPhone knows about it and can you could tell you more about it without getting one of those devices that gives you an error code that you have to read. Maybe CarPlay could do that in the future.
I 100% think it should.
Yeah.
That's always felt like a scam to me.
Right.
That you had to because you used to have to go to a dealership and they had the special tool.
Yeah. And
then you could order these tools online to do it, but it was really just you have some error, take it somewhere and get it fixed.
I have to imagine this version of CarPlay is wired. There's no way they're doing odometer and stuff like that in a wireless connection.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. Although who knows? Maybe it's. I mean, a lot more data can be sent over AirPlay, I suppose, than this. So, but you want it to be reliable,
and you don't want the phone to die as you're driving.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I hope this is probably wired.
Yeah. But yeah, super cool to see that happen. The Wallet app is getting some cool stuff, like you track your orders, shipping stuff in there. The pay later thing, kind of cool. Don't abuse it when you don't have the money for it, but at the same time, it's handy for some select purchases, probably.
Yeah, I think I saw a screenshot of it that looks like they're doing a thing to like try to make it clear, like over the next 30 days, you're going to be paying this across all of your buy now, pay later things.
Yeah.
So hopefully, yeah, I mean, I feel conflicted about those services, but it makes sense for Apple to integrate into Apple Pay. And it's really great that it's just going to automatically work for third-party integrators. So everyone who has an Apple Pay button on their website today doesn't have to do any work at all to get this as an option for
and
Apple Pay customers.
Kind of just takes care of it. Yeah.
Which is awesome. So I work for a payments company who has an Apple Pay integration, and I was very happy to see there's zero work for us. And like a lot of times when people are like, "There's zero work to make this happen," and there's a little work, but this one, I'm pretty sure there's zero work.
Yeah. And then the Home app, brand new app, sort of. Looks great. Everything's on the first tab, and you can kind of go through your whole home. Kind of smartly sorts your speakers and TVs and lights all together, which is good.
Yeah, it's a huge improvement. I used to favorite every single accessory that I had because I wanted it to show up on one page, and so now it just does. So one of the things I did last night was I just unfavorited everything because now it actually has a logical list that I can use to change things. But it's definitely an improvement. I haven't spent enough time with it to know like if it's great yet, but it's 100% an improvement over what we had in iOS 15.
And then medications, now part of health, and there's a watch app for it. And it was funny the morning of the keynote, there was like like a friend that's like older and was having this issue dealing with medications, and like seems really great as a solution for helping people. Like the scanning of bottles and stuff, and it all seemed very well thought out.
Yeah, it's the logical thing for Apple to add.
Yeah,
with the health
so-called
focus.
easy thing for them to check out off the box, you know.
Yeah, it's totally. As soon as I saw it, I was like, "This makes total sense." I'm sure third-party apps do this already, and might be annoyed that this is there, but it's the sort of thing that I think makes sense for Apple to bundle in as a basic feature. And other apps can do it. I'm sure can do it better and can have more advanced functionality, but it's good to see it built in.
It'd be cool. I wonder. I haven't played around with this much. It'd be cool if, like on Sunday, if you are someone that uses those pill pocket things, or not pill pockets, the kind of the day by day where you put your pills in. It'd be cool if there would be a weekly summary of here's what you need to put in each day to start your week, kind of thing.
Yeah,
because right now it's just like take this pill at this time, kind of thing.
Yeah, so you set the schedule, and then that's kind of it. But
yeah, I wonder if there is an overview. I haven't played around enough with that. And it's smart. It doesn't just give you a list of all the medications in the world. You have to search for it, so you're not just like browse it through. What medications should I try to find?
Yeah. What's good?
Right. It would be interesting if there was a scrollable thing for vitamins and stuff that isn't medicine, because this will work with vitamins, I guess, as well.
Okay.
Which, yeah, okay. But yeah, that seems like a really cool thing for them to add. And I guess the iPhone will also have fitness, even if you're not an Apple Watch person. So that's cool for those people, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, kind of bundled with the complications on the lock screen. This update definitely has a couple like Apple Watch features that are now available to non-Apple Watch owners, which I think is great. It also makes the Apple Watch less essential, and as an Apple Watch fan, that makes me inherently nervous. But I don't think it's an issue.
No, I think it's like getting them acquainted with rings, and it's like I want to do more with rings. You get the watch.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually when I saw because there's just the one move ring, the red ring that you get if you're using just the phone, which makes sense because it's based on just like all this other stuff, all the other sensors that the Apple Watch uses. But I was very much like, oh, this is like the free to play version.
Yes,
and you have to pay up to like get the premium experience.
Yeah, and I guess this also debundles the watch from Fitness Plus as a required thing, which is super smart for their services revenue.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like, so you can use Fitness Plus entirely just without an Apple Watch.
I'm pretty sure
now,
that's
it sounds
the
like?
case now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, yeah.
Because, I mean, the only difference would be you wouldn't see your stats on screen.
Right.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you can still get advantage.
You can still do a fitness class without seeing your stats and having those.
Yeah. It's not like they slow down or anything if you slow down. Like, it's they're barreling ahead.
Yep.
It's just a video.
It's on a one-on-one personal thing.
Yeah.
Nope.
So that's totally great, especially because it's bundled into like Apple One, the Apple One subscription. And I know there's some certain people who are annoyed that they can't use this thing that they're paying for, and so this is a nice thing for that.
Yeah, I'm bumping up against the 2 terabytes of storage on my. I don't have Apple One. Bumping up against it, so I'm constantly. Am I gonna have to get Apple One to get more storage? So we'll see. I might end up there one day. And then the only mention of Apple TV comes with this line, Matt. Cross-device connectivity in tvOS 16 unlocks new connected experiences between Apple TV, Apple Watch, and iPhone. Connect your nearby devices and make your TV feel more personal than ever. Now, we already have like keyboards and stuff on the iPhone, and like they already talk. And in what ways is the TV going to get more personal ever with tvOS 16?
I have no idea what this means.
It's so like,
honestly
big and like oh man,
I feel like removing tvOS from the keynote makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Like I use an Apple TV every day. Like
I do too.
It's my preferred way to watch TV. Like I like it a lot, but like it doesn't really belong in a developer keynote.
No, because they kind
of
the apps for TVs have kind of like they're there, but
yeah. I think Apple's pretty aware that people installed video apps, and that's really it.
Yeah, and games didn't really take off at all.
Yeah, games really haven't clicked. The shopping stuff that they showed off at first, like nobody's doing that. Maybe someone's doing that. Maybe someone's shopping on their Apple TV, but I'm pretty confident that's a low number.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll see what that is this fall, I guess. There's no beta of tvOS 16, I don't believe.
I haven't seen it. I think there is going to be though.
Okay.
But yeah, I haven't. But yeah, like you said, because there's nothing there, and like my wife doesn't care if I have like iPhone or iPad stability issues, but she's gonna care if like she can't watch TV because I'm doing the stupid beta thing.
Yeah, and you're running the beta on your watch, phone, and iPad, right? That's your.
Yes, okay. And my main ones because I'm a bad.
Yes.
Influence.
Well, I had to do. I was planning on installing the beta on my 10.5-inch iPad Pro. Then they're like, M1 iPads are the only ones that get the external display stuff. It's like, okay, I guess
you're like, well, that's the thing.
Yes, we're making this beta now. And my 10.5-inch iPad Pro will be my production machine if the beta at some point just craps out. It's kind of funny, before the keynotes and stuff, people were saying that 16 is oh so rocky, and beta 1 seems just as good as 15 for me so far. I haven't had many crashes, if any, and it's been great.
Yeah, dangerous to say any of this with too much confidence on day one.
Because beta 2, I think, could be a real crap show.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this happens every year where people are like, someone will like confidently say on Twitter, like, beta 1 is so solid, it's great. And then like 2 weeks later, don't install beta 2. It's terrible. Things have gotten much worse. And like, so like, don't just know what you're getting into. Like, you can install the beta. Like, I totally get it. It's fun to try out the new stuff. Like, I'm doing it myself. But like, I guess it's a pet peeve of mine when people are like, the beta is safe, everything's good, you're gonna love it. Like my iPhone, whenever I use it for like more than like 10 minutes with the screen on the beta, is like getting very hot.
Okay, that's good to know. I have the beta on my 12 mini. It's been pretty good so far, but it's only been a day, so
yeah, it's been fine. But like, it definitely got warm to the touch, and I was like, okay, I'm going to put this down for a little while,
Yes.
and it cools off. But like, I've definitely had issues with this in the past, where like just a background process just goes crazy or something, and like the CPU just must be maxed out for a long time, and it just the phone gets hot, and it's very concerning when that happens.
And it's cool. The Windows stuff on the iPad, it just all works with existing apps already. So that's just it's fun when betas unlock things that don't need third-party developers to do anything for.
Yeah, 100%. These are the fun betas, because like you're right. There's sometimes you install a beta and you're like, well, Apple's apps are updated, but the apps I actually use are all exactly the same, and now they crash sometimes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But it is nice that all that kind of works. I have had a couple issues where when I'm in the stage manager mode on the iPad, like the app will launch, but it'll just be a black box. It'll never actually like show the UI. I've had it in Reader. I've had it in Obsidian. I had it in Ulysses.
I've had lower black boxes, like at the very bottom of an app sometimes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Strange. Yeah. And like the Messages app is a little funky with layout if you have the keyboard
Oh,
connected.
yeah. Sometimes that'll be a bit off.
It like gets like bumped up like midway through the thread.
Try to type something and you can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely still buggy, but like I'm not regretting it on any of these devices so far.
No, so far it's fun.
It's fun to play
I
with
never
stuff.
play around with the watch because that thing is my. Like last year, my iPhone became a hot mess and I couldn't use cellular, and my watch became my main phone when I was out and about.
Yeah.
So I don't mess with the watch. That's my one like.
The watch is dicey. I think you can restore the watch now. I think there's a way to do a restore from backup on it. I've never had to do it.
That's good to know that is the thing. Maybe.
I think that was the thing they added in WatchOS 8.
So that was the big thing. You're stuck at the beta once you get on.
You were stuck. Yeah, there was no way to downgrade. Yeah, I bricked an Apple Watch like 2 or 3 years ago and had to bring it to the Apple Store and kind of sheepishly tell them it's broken. I don't know what's going on, and then they repaired it. But they I believe the official stance is if you brick it with a beta, they are under no obligation to fix it for you. So
especially a developer beta, maybe the public beta would be something they'd be more sympathetic over.
Maybe. Yeah.
Speaking of the WatchOS 9's here. We're almost up to 10.
Crazy.
We got some new watch faces, Metropolitan, which looks super good. Playtime.
Metropolitan is the MVP.
Yeah,
that's the best one,
that's
I
the best
think.
one.
Mm-hmm. I've used all of them so far. The Metropolitan one I think is my favorite. And a lot of the old watch faces you can set a background color now. So you used to be able to just set like the font color and the complication color, but now you can set like the background color, and they've got a whole bunch of gradients that look really, really nice. So I'm really, really digging the new watch face stuff.
That's awesome.
And they'll probably have more in the fall, because like usually they'll announce like 1 or 2 in the beta, and then once the new watches come out, they're like, here's 6 more. Yeah. So I'm hoping there'll be more this fall too.
And Playtime looks kind of fun. Like it looks like the artist's face. Like I'll never use, but Playtime I may use that. I don't know.
I love that every year there's one just bonkers watch face.
We partnered with this artist, and we have Playtime from that collaboration.
Like I love that like Apple makes these devices for like, I mean, how many people own an Apple Watch? Like 100 million tops, or like over 100 million probably at this point.
Absolutely.
And like, so they have to make things that work for like a massive number of people. But they also do these really weird things that like almost no one's going to use. But like, I like that they do it anyway.
Yeah. No, it's fun. And I love they explain they go to sleep when your wrist is down. It's like, that's cute.
I know. Yeah. It's pretty good. I'll use it for fun sometimes. Maybe maybe I'll set that as my focus. One of my focus mode ones. Yeah.
And then we have a new lunar face. Seems cool. Like people are into the full moon and all that, I guess. We have our first remastered face, which astronomy. So this is our first we're going back to an original face and remastering it for the new size.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't noticed that one yet, but they have updated some of the old ones as well. So to support the new complications.
Yeah. Answer me this, Matt. The Explorer face, which launched with the cellular Apple Watch, can I put on the same thing you put on utility? Those newer style wraparound complications.
I'm checking
because I know people are saying before the keynote that all the old watch faces will be updated for the new watches, and it's I guess partially true with the complication support being kind of expanded out to different faces?
It is initially unclear.
Okay.
Yes, it looks like it does support the new complication styles.
Yeah, because like in the past, if you put like the mindfulness thing, it'd just have that square icon, and now it'll wrap around and say mindfulness on it, and that's really cool because
yeah, it does. So these, it's 100% uses the new complication styles.
So it sounds like Utility Explorer, all your favorite like OG watch faces will be a little bit better here.
Mm-hmm.
For complications.
Yes, yeah, they got the facelift, which is great.
Because they've been pretty much, and the Series 3 is no more. That's not getting WatchOS 9. We've had to confirm, so that's interesting and probably for the best.
Yeah,
and probably why they could do these complications too, because now that complication wouldn't work on a Series 3. And
yeah, you're right.
And maybe they architected this watch with this OS with like only one watch for.
Yeah. It'll be really curious if they keep selling the Series 3 after the Series 8 comes out this fall.
They have to give it up. They're not just going to sell a watch with WatchOS 8, would they?
You wouldn't think so, but like they've surprised us a couple years in a row keeping it around, so who knows?
Yeah. It's kind of they're still selling it. Like they didn't do a price drop on the SE today and like get rid of that thing. Nope.
Yep.
So that's the thing. Yeah. So the background colors you mentioned, when it's in always on display mode, does it just turn black like normal, or how's that treated?
Yeah, so it goes black like normal.
Okay.
So so it looks very similar. Basically.
Yeah, it's kind of like the white watch faces where it turns black when it's down. Kind of thing.
Yeah, you got it exactly.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. A lot of good watch face stuff this year, more so than last year by far. No improvements to always on display stuff. Everything's the same. Like the Maps app still doesn't tell you when it's in the mode how far, or does it?
You know what?
Yeah, do a little driving route or whatever.
I did actually notice. Oh boy.
Just driving around.
Okay. Stop it. Okay, so it's going a little crazy. What was the question?
So when you do a turn by turn on your watch, prior when you had it in always on display mode, it would just tell you you're turning up ahead, but no indication of how many miles or feet away that would be.
Okay. Let me try it.
Out.
I'm going to mute.
Yes.
But let me try. Okay. I have good news.
Yes?
It does show me the distance in always on mode.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it has buttons at the bottom for you to take actions quickly.
Ooh, this is very exciting news, because that has been one of the most infuriating things where I'm driving and it's like,
Yeah. So you're able to stop navigation, go to a map view, I think, and then there's like a 3 dots for some more options. So there's definitely more, but always on mode does show the distance to the turn.
Oh, thank the heavens. That's the best feature of WatchOS 9 in my mind right now. It's like better always on display apps. Yeah. I'm trying to think of if any other Apple apps were really bad about that. Maps was the big offender in my mind.
I was going to say, now I need to go searching since I know something changed.
Right. Oh man, that's awesome. That's great. That makes my day. Oh boy.
The thing about WatchOS that I got really excited about was workouts.
Yeah.
Workouts got some pretty serious updates.
It did. Are you a runner?
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. I am too. It's been a while since I've ran, but I am technically a runner. I've done marathons and ultra marathons. So. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, you're a better runner than me then. Yeah. So the big thing. So there's a bunch of things, like they're tracking your heart rate. Like they're having zones for heart rate. I use an app called Gentler
really cool.
Streak.
It does an automatic calculation for your zone. You can do it manually for if you want to do that, but based on your health data, it'll pick the zones appropriate for you, which is super smart.
I didn't
a lot of
notice
people
that.
Probably don't know what zone is 3 or 5 for me.
Yeah,
and
for
maybe
sure.
that changes as you get more and less fit.
That'd be great. But I love that you can see your activity rings during the workout. You can just scroll to see that. Because that was always the thing I was doing. Like, I'm doing this to like fill my ring. Like, how close am I to the ring? So it's good to see that is easily accessible. And then I really like that you can save routes. So if you do a specific run, you can save that route and then start that as a workout. so that you're doing the same thing. I haven't actually done it yet, but I hope it like does navigation for you in some way to like make sure you stay on the route.
And maybe historical data to compare if you're faster or slower than the last time you did that route would be cool.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely need to try it, and I'll have to report back. But it's really nice to have that, because like one of the things that I always like kind of struggled with is like timing myself and like figuring out am I getting faster or slower, and like it's kind of hard to tell when like you're not doing the same thing, or like you do the same thing but the distance is slightly different, because the GPS was just behaving a little different that day. So it'd be cool to do like the same route and make sure like you're getting the right time and everything.
And there's this new running power metric that like brings in all these metrics of like elevation and like pace and stuff to like and I guess it's the idea of this running power thing is to like give you an idea of if you're gonna pass out or able to keep running. So I'm not sure I'll need that, because I kind of know if I'm working hard or not. But I didn't fully understand that one. The running form metrics seem super cool. So there's stride length, ground contact time, and vertical oscillation. And I'm like I'm one of those crazy barefoot runner people. So the ground contact time and like all that stuff, it's good metrics. So you don't want to be on the ground much. You want to be hopping off the ground like a little bunny. So,
interesting. Like no shoes at all?
Depends on the surface, but I'll wear sandals, and there's some other like minimalistic shoes and stuff. My 50 miler, I actually did. It was a forest race, and 20 miles of that were barefoot.
Wow!
It was a very muddy day, and the sandals weren't cutting it, so I went barefoot. You have to.
You're a much more serious runner than I am. Then.
Yeah.
I have the comfort of shoes and shorter distances.
Right. But yeah, all this stuff is good to just have an idea of like your stride length and like how much you're going up and down. Like it's the stuff that it's another metric that you can be working on and like seeing run the run. How am I doing with that? So that's really cool to see added as a thing.
Yeah, it's a really good like kind of training thing, because like when I am running, like I always feel like there's nothing I can like. What can I even do to like get better, like outside of doing it more? Yeah. So it would be kind of cool if I could have that up while I'm doing the workout, and like know that I'm hopping too much, or I like I could like kind of tune that in, and maybe that's the thing that could help me do better.
And I also love, like, you basically have a playlist now for a workout. So you can have a warm-up, like sprints or multi-sports, and you can kind of build out what you want to do for that session. And that's really cool, especially for triathlons and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, or even, like, if you're just doing a basic run, I think you can set it up to, like, I want to do 5 minutes of running, 2 minutes of walking, and then just repeat until I'm done.
Yeah.
And like that's really nice, because I don't just run constantly. Like and
that's
breaks and everything.
Like in ultra marathon world, you have a walk run strategy, and that's something that pretty much all but the elite ultra people will do. And you'll run a certain amount of time and then walk a certain amount of time. So that's great that that's in there as well. Just it's not distance based, it's like time based. That's the thing. We're gonna have like that's cool.
Yeah, currently I do it based on like, okay, I'll try to get to the end of the song and then I'll walk, or something like that.
That'd be cool if you could tie it to music, like after each song, a different little thing.
Oh, yeah. Apple used to do these, like, they used to commission artists to do like these like 40 to 60 minute like songs that they would sell on iTunes for like $10. I remember LCD Sound System had one that I liked. But it was, the idea of those was it would like, the pace of the music would adjust with like the workout that you were supposed to be doing with it. So it would be kind of cool for them to bring that back as like a retro thing.
That'd be cool. I remember the Nike had the shoe thing where you put the Nike pod in your shoe and it did that tracking.
I wanted that so bad.
Yeah. I had that back in the day. That was fun times.
I would have been very jealous of you back then.
Oh man, I miss iPods. Yeah. Kickboard is a new stroke type when swimming, and that's a really cool thing because that's something a lot of people do as a workout. They kickboard, start kicking.
I hadn't considered that, but it'd probably give you weird numbers because you weren't moving your arms the same way.
Yep, but it can see you're moving physically. And then tell me about this dock thing, because right now I use favorites, and in my dock for my watch, I just have one app there, the Now Playing app. It makes it really easy. So this new thing, and you had the option prior to have recent apps, but now there's an option, I guess, for running apps. So if an app's running, it'll show up there. How's this work? And can you still just do the favorites if you want? Like, you probably have to set this up on the phone, I'd imagine, with like how the dock behaves.
So in the settings app, you can still choose between recents or favorites.
Okay.
You still have to manage your favorites from the iPhone app.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if it's in this beta yet. It looks like it's behaving exactly the same as it has.
Yeah, because they were talking about like apps that are running will show up there now. It's like,
yeah, I don't see that yet in either mode, so it doesn't look like it's there yet.
What is your go-to? Are you a favorite guy or a recent app guy?
I do recent.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't use that many apps on the watch, so
yeah. I used to have a bunch of apps in there, and then I realized the touch targets would make it just so I just want a single app in there that I can just, this is my button for that one app. That's what I ended up doing.
Yeah. Honestly, I wish it was kind of like a grid instead of kind of the list that it is today, so that I could see like just a couple. Then I might use my favorites, because right now I kind of just go to the honeycomb of apps page and kind of try to find.
You're not a list guy.
That I hate the list.
Oh,
I think the list is
the
worst.
Fascinating. That is fascinating.
It's such a pain to get to anything, because there's like 50 apps on my watch, and like it takes forever to scroll to it. Neither is great, but
neither's great.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess the calendar app has a new bar graph grid. So I don't use the calendar much on my watch, but there you go.
Me neither, but good for I'm a Fantastical guy, so I do not know what the official app's doing.
Yeah, and then we're getting AFib history, and then the other one I think is kind of just like marketing voodoo, the sleep stages. I've listened to a lot of health podcasts, and basically the metrics that we're getting on our wrist, unless Apple has some wildly better stuff, it really is just a crapshoot if you're in REM or whatever, and it's like understanding how long you're in bed and kind of sleeping in general is good, but the stages I'm not completely on board with being a real thing as far as the data we're gathering being enough to do a good job with that. So we'll see.
Yes, sleep tracking is always kind of a weird thing, because like I don't know what I'm supposed to do with the data. Like, what's the action I'm supposed to take?
I will tell you, like, you drink alcohol right now. It's like, that's probably why you had bad sleep. I don't know.
Yeah, like,
and that was a good thing with the medications, with the don't mix alcohol with this one. That was kind of cool to see in there. And then anything else on the watch? Anything else you've noticed using the watch, that kind of littler things that we haven't really talked about?
No, I think that's really it. Like, it seemed like the watch segment seemed to go by pretty quick.
It did, yeah.
In the keynote. And I think the faces were really exciting to me. The workout changes, which I have to do. I'll do later today. Yeah, I promise. Okay, I'll do my
test it out,
my workout. But those are the things that really connected for me. And just knowing the complications that are on my watch, conceivably will soon be on the iPhone as well. I think it's just really cool to be able to see those in both places.
That's gonna be awesome. And
on the always on iPhone 14, that's obviously coming now.
Yeah, clearly. Yep, that's coming. Because why would you do a lock screen that you're never in?
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, some great faces, and the Maps app edition is that's great.
I'm so glad that's there for you. I know that's been an annoyance for you for years. So.
It's frustrating, because you're looking down as you're glancing down, you're driving, you can't see how far you're going now.
Yep.
So that's great. Closing out with a couple of Mac things. You got the continuity camera, which basically admits that Mac cameras will suck forever. They're partnering with Belkid for a mount for, I guess, different kind of Macs. I wonder if Belkin will make I wonder if Belkin will make a Pro XDR display mount that's special for those people. Because it's like
they certainly could.
Yeah, it's like
and they could sell it for a lot of money.
They could. Yeah,
that sucker's not cheap.
No. And the desk
Yeah,
view seems super cool.
I was about to say that desk view is really the one thing that made me go, oh, that's, I mean.
Can I get that from my iPad? That continuity camera? Stick my iPhone up there?
Right? Like, that's really, really cool.
Do you know how it's doing this? Is it using two cameras, one for your face and one for the desk?
I think it's using, well, it's actually a good question.
It said it's using ultra-wide, but I don't know if it's using that plus a different camera.
I know it's using the ultra-wide to get your desk, and then it's just like skewing the image to make it look as much like it's directly overhead as possible. I assumed they were using the main camera for the normal video of your face.
Yeah.
But does it have center stage? Because if it has center stage, then that would imply it's using the ultra-wide for that as well.
I don't know if that's a separate mode, though. I forget how they demoed that. But I would like desk mode for my iPad using the ultra wide on my iPad. I don't know if the camera's good enough, the ultra wide center stage thing on my iPad to do that though. Probably not. But maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, it seems like the ultra wide for the center stage is super wide and more so than the one in the back, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's a good feature. The couple companies that make apps that do that today, I'm sure are not happy about it.
Probably not.
But yeah. I was really surprised to see Apple just basically duct tape two of their devices together.
It's great. It's like we're admitting,
I was shocked.
We're admitting we're really not great at this. Especially after all
it's
this,
a cool feature.
Yeah.
But
especially after all the studio display stuff.
Well, yeah, the studio display, the whole thing there was like your display and the camera are integrated. You don't have to have the stupid thing on top. And now they're like, here's a 7-inch iPhone on top of your.
Yeah. And you're going to do this for very specific uses because you're not just going to have your iPhone up there at all times.
Yeah.
Unless they're saying, don't trade in your iPhone. Keep your old iPhone for your Mac.
Well, I mean, based on how they advertise iPhone prices as the trade-in price.
Right.
It's like they definitely want you to trade in that iPhone.
Yeah. And the handoff
I don't know.
Seems cool as well with FaceTime.
Ooh, what was the handoff?
So if you're on like FaceTime call on your iPhone, you walk next to your iPad or Mac, it'll like say you want to transfer it over here, and you can do that now.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I often, if I'm taking like a call around the house, I'll answer on my iPhone. But it would be great to okay, let me go to my computer, and then I could switch over to that.
I want to see if it works with the watch. I have a FaceTime audio call on the watch. I transfer it to my Mac with the video. That'd be neat.
I bet you it would work.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I hope that happens because
Yeah, I'd have to test that, but based on how most handoff stuff works, I'm gonna guess that would probably work.
We'll see. That could be cool.
We'll see.
Reminders got a lot of love. I don't know much about it quite yet, and I don't really use reminders. You're probably the same.
Same.
Yeah. And then the last thing, we got new hardware. We got this very weird MacBook Pro with a touch bar still. That thing's still alive.
Yeah.
It's got an M2 chip, and not much else has changed.
I'm still puzzled by the existence of that computer at all.
Yeah.
But
it's bizarre, especially with this MacBook Air, which looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was an issue last year where the MacBook Air and the 13-inch MacBook Pro were basically the exact same thing, but the Pro was worse and had fans.
Yeah.
But my work computer, my work issued computer is a 13-inch MacBook Pro, an M1.
Yeah.
And a year ago, my personal computer was an M1 MacBook Air. So I had the two computers. I had them, one for my personal, one for work. And I benchmarked the hell out of them.
Yeah.
And I saw no evidence, even in my longest running processes, that the Pro was any faster, that those fans were doing anything to
you need to work
performance.
in the Sahara Desert to see the difference.
I guess so. But I was I don't know why, I don't know why this exists now. And now especially, why does it exist when the new Air is also a much better...
Yeah, it's got a bigger, better screen. It's got Magsafe and two... How many ports does that MacBook Pro have? Does it just have two?
Still two.
So
USB-C.
you have more ports with the Air now.
Or two Thunderbolt.
Yeah. It's cheap. Is it cheaper by $100?
It's $100 cheaper, yeah.
Why is it cheaper? I don't know. That touch
Maybe
bar.
the RAM is different. I know the storage, the default storage.
The Air can get spec'd up to 24 gigs as well, but maybe the baselines are better with the Pro.
Yeah, I think that was a weird thing last year with the pricing. Is the Air started $100 less, but the base storage was $128 instead of $256 or something.
Yeah. And it's weird. We do get up to 24 gigs of RAM now, which is a weird number. Just a weird number.
That is a weird number.
We're most of like 1632s, like our, multiple.
Yeah, you would expect a multiple of
8
2
or 4
or 8. Yeah. I guess it's multiple. Of
Do you
8.
think? Yeah. Do you think the
Whatever.
24 gigs is enough for people that have been wanting that 32 that have been complaining? Is it close enough for those people that are like 16's not enough, but maybe 24 is?
I think for the MacBook Air, totally. For the
Mac
MacBook
Mini.
Pro,
When
the
we
Mac Mini.
eventually get a Mac Mini with an M2, is that going to be a high enough ceiling, you think?
I mean, you would expect 32 there.
You would, yeah.
I think you're right. I mean, I assume it'll be 24 there as well. I don't see why
unless
it would
we
be
get
more.
a Mac Mini Pro, M2 Pro or something at some point. I don't know. We'll see.
It would actually make sense for the Mini to ship with the M1. Maybe we'll get the M2 and the M2 Pro in the Mini, and the Studio will have the Max and the Ultra.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how they'll differentiate them.
Yeah. And I got to say,
you can't. I was going to say, just you can't get the M1 Pro in a desktop right now.
Oh, that's right.
You can only get it in a laptop.
That's right. Yeah.
So I wonder if the Mini will have the 2 low-end M2s, and then the high-end M2s will go in the Studio.
Yeah. And then I gotta say, these colors, man, what's Apple doing? Why didn't they do the iMac thing? Baffling.
I don't know.
Supply chain.
Super
They
disappointing.
can't make enough aluminum colors, I guess.
I mean, is pigment not available? I don't know.
Right. It's baffling. Like, they should have matched the iMac colors. Like, that would have been such a win.
I'm really surprised that they kept like the serious colors, even like the space or not
the
another
blue,
space gray,
the
there's midnight. That's the new one. That's
it looks
the only
great,
new
but
color.
it's not. It's dark. It's like not a fun blue. It's nice.
They went like more pro. It's a more pro like color.
Yeah, the
than,
gold
like, the
looks
fun
nice
colors.
too, but still, I love the rainbow.
Yeah,
I love
it. Seemed like a slam dunk.
Yeah, I love that they have color matched MagSafe now, because when the Pros launched last year, you wouldn't get color matched if you went space gray or whatever it was. I think it was just silver.
Yeah, I think that's right. But the silver is the better color for MacBook
Yes,
Pros
I
anyway.
agree. Same thing with iPad Pro. You go silver. That's the way to go. I do wonder how many space gray MacBook Pro owners will get one of these new chargers to get the color matched. How many chargers will they sell?
I wouldn't blame them. Go for it.
Right?
The thing I was happiest about is that I was worried that I have a 14-inch MacBook Pro, and I was worried the new MacBook Air would tempt me, and I like that I'm not tempted by it. It looks great, but like it's not better than the Pro.
No.
And I think that's really good. It's really good that I was worried if we're in like this M1 and M2 scenario, like would the M2 like technically be better than the M1 Pro or Max or something, but it's definitely not the case. So it's still a lower power machine, but it's better than what we had before. So I think that's really good.
Good on battery life still. Like a thing I was worried about is when they redesign it, we're gonna lose all of our gains we made by just keeping the old design around. Sounds like that wasn't the case here.
I hope. Yeah, I don't know how it compares, but the battery life on the M1 Air was insane.
Yeah. And
so if it's
lost, how do you feel about losing the wedge shape on this thing? It's not a wedge anymore.
Okay.
It's more like a slab with feet.
Yeah,
it's a slab with feet.
I'd have to use it, but I think it's okay.
Yeah,
I think we can move on.
You can move on from the wedge. I mean, there's valuable real estate in not having it to be that way.
Yeah, I think the wedge was like obviously that was like a
iconic thing.
Mental thing to get you iconic, yes, but also a kind of a thing to make it feel thinner.
Yeah.
Than it was, and now it's just like incredibly thin. And so
I wish I had the original MacBook Air with the little latch door. I wish I still had that just to compare it to what we have today. Yeah,
wow,
it's come a long ways. It really has. Yeah, 2 Thunderbolt ports and a headphone jack with high impedance headphones, and
yes,
we have the notches everywhere basically now.
Yep. They add the notch to the Mac right before they remove it from the iPhone.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
Yeah. And anything else about WWDC? For sure.
Just a couple little things. I was excited to see WeatherKit is an API and an SDK that developers can use, which is a good privacy-based API for getting the weather. So that's fantastic to see. The pricing seems reasonable. I think it's free for up to 500,000 requests for whether a month.
And I'm almost glad there is a paid version of this and it's priced well, because one fear I had was if it's totally free, how are developers going to charge for weather apps if we know this is free now?
Yeah.
But it seems like it's priced, and it's priced half of what Dark Sky was charging.
Yeah, so I think it's $50 per million requests effectively.
Yeah. That
you're making. So I think that's very reasonable. Great to see it, and it works.
Yeah.
There's a RESTful API, so web apps and Android apps can make weather apps with it still. So that's awesome. I liked their rapid security response updates.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting.
So they can push updates to all their devices, all their operating systems, I think, without needing you to restart, without needing you to opt into them, which is good. So if there's a security update, you can just have it and not like have to do a reboot or whatever. So that's good. I think Android has a similar thing, but it's just good to be able to get those security updates out without hoping your users opt in to them.
How is dual booting a Mac still even possible? Like if you wanted to install the beta through a external hard drive, is that a thing?
I think it is. I haven't done it in a while. Maybe I should try it on this. I think you can still do the thing where you hold Option or whatever when you're booting and select your boot drive.
Right. Yeah.
I should check 9to5Mac. 9to5Mac every year, like clockwork, has a how to install the macOS beta on a
external
or like on an SSD.
Yeah.
So they'll probably have it this year if it is possible.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was a really good show. I mean,
it was a good show.
So much in there.
It was definitely a good show. It felt if I could generalize, I think it felt similar to whatever year they did iOS 8.
Yeah.
Where there were a whole bunch of
third-party keyboards. I think that was
third-party keyboards. That was when we got the share sheet, because before that you only had every whenever you shared, it would be the exact same sheet. No third-party apps were allowed in there. Like Twitter and Facebook were there because you used to be able to sign into your Twitter and Facebook accounts in iOS, which was a weird time. You wouldn't believe it, but it happened. Just all these things that we'd been asking for a long time, and some of which we thought maybe we would never get.
Right.
Just all happened. So, we're in the post WWDC high, and everything feels good right now, and we'll start to use the betas, and things will be messy here and there. And now that we have multi-window on the iPad and we have external displays, now we're going to have new things we want.
Yes.
But that's just the nature.
Well, it's next year, are we getting 2 external displays on iPad? Or
yeah, right. So, there's always more things to want, but it definitely feels like a good set of updates. Maybe not for the Mac. The Mac seems fine.
Right,
but for the iPad especially, and I think some of the iPhone stuff I think people will really, really appreciate. So I think that it seems like it's a pretty good year for updates.
Yeah, and we didn't mention the Files app. Major overhaul with what you can do in there now. You can change file extensions and all sorts of... It's much more findery than it used to be. It's getting there.
Yeah, I heard through a birdie that you should definitely check out the Files app because there's more there than you might think in this update. So it sounds pretty good. Yeah,
and the across system undo redo and Files, Photos, and Calendar. There's, and if you select the context menus too. If you select multiple things, it's a different context menu. We mentioned that briefly earlier. And just all sorts of great things, toolbar customizations. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's super great. Like I said, everything in my life besides my Mac is on the beta right now. So,
and we've on this call for an hour and a half plus, and this beta has not crashed or rebooted once. So that's a good thing.
Yes. I wasn't brave enough, but I'm glad that you were, and it's surviving.
Yeah. I wonder how warm this thing is. It's very warm. It's plugged in the power and running a display, so yeah. So this is a lot of fun. I always enjoy doing this, and Where can people find your awesome videos that you've been putting out these days?
Yeah, I'm putting most of my work into YouTube these days, and so I've got a channel called A Better Computer that you can check out, and it's exactly what it sounds like, just about finding ways to use your computer better. So it's basically an all good news channel. Only talk about things that I think you should check out, whether it's software, hardware, or whatever. So not an Apple devoted channel, but it's very Apple-y, just based on what I actually use. So that's probably the best place to check me out.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Matt, for your time. This has been such a fun chat, and it's fun kind of going through this stuff after the high of yesterday.
Yes, we'll do it again next year. It's a tradition at this point, I think.
Yes, sounds great. Well, that was my discussion with Matt all about WWDC. Make sure to check out his website at birchtree.me and watch his awesome videos over on YouTube. As a reminder, you can support the podcast by downloading this episode's sponsor, Agenda. Learn more at agenda.com. My thanks once again to Agenda for sponsoring this episode. You can get episodes early at patreon.com/iPadPros or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. My thanks to everyone that supports the show at either of those places. And with that, I'll talk to everyone again real soon.